The courtroom is quiet in a way that feels wrong, not respectful, not calm. More like a room holding its breath. A judge reads the case like a list of broken bones, aggravated child abuse, 4 counts, each one carrying a sentence that can stretch for years. And in the same breath, the judge reminds everyone of the part that can't be put into legal language. These were not strangers. These were a mother and a trusted helper. Ruby Franke didn't become famous because she was a criminal. She became famous because she looked safe. Her YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, sold a picture that millions of people recognized. 6 kids, a neat home, structured rules, discipline with a smile. The kind of content that makes you feel like you're watching real life, but upgraded. The kind of channel where viewers don't just watch, they follow. And that's the first trap of family content. When you watch long enough, you stop seeing a screen. You start seeing a home. Then came Jodi Hildebrandt, a therapist, a mentor, the face behind a counseling brand called Connections. She didn't just talk about parenting, she talked about purity, truth, evil. She spoke with the confidence of someone who claimed she could diagnose your soul. And Ruby leaned in. At first, it looked like a collaboration. A mom influencer and a counselor teaming up to teach truth. Later, Ruby would tell the court she wasn't a business partner, but a client. That she paid Jodi for guidance, and that guidance led her into what Ruby described as a dark delusion. But online, contracts didn't matter. On camera, the message was clear. Ruby had found someone who spoke with authority, and Jodi had found something more powerful than a client. She found an audience. Their content changed. It stopped being about family routines and started becoming about moral control. Words like accountability and boundaries began to sound like weapons. Anyone who questioned them was framed as dishonest, weak, dangerous. And Ruby's life split into 2 worlds. The world people saw and the world her children lived in. Behind closed doors, investigators later described the Ivins, Utah home as something closer to a work camp environment. Forced labor, isolation, food deprivation, punishment framed as treatment, and the most disturbing part? This wasn't sudden, it was gradual. A belief system that turned cruelty into care. Abuse doesn't always hide in darkness. Sometimes it hides in daylight, wrapped in disciplined language. As Ruby's influence deepened, people close to the family raised alarms. Viewers argued. Former supporters worried. But social platforms aren't designed to stop slow disasters. They're designed to reward engagement. And nothing engages like moral certainty. Multiple former clients later described Jodi's counseling style as extreme and controlling. A system where disagreement meant you were the problem. Now, mix that with influencer culture. If Ruby believed her children weren't just misbehaving, but spiritually corrupt, then every punishment could be justified. In court, Ruby described believing that institutions were evil, and that children needed abuse to be safe. That sentence explains everything. Redefine harm as help. Redefine resistance as guilt. Redefine isolation as protection. Once you do that, the house becomes sealed. No outside voices, no reality checks, no escape. This is where we have to stop and ask something uncomfortable. When parents build a brand around family life, the audience becomes a silent third parent. Likes become validation, views become approval, and children become content without consent. They don't sign contracts. They don't choose exposure. They don't get privacy. And when control becomes part of the identity, reality becomes the enemy. August 30th, 2023. A 12-year-old boy knocks on a stranger's door, not wandering, not confused, desperate, thin, weak, Injured, he asks for food, for water, for help. Police arrive and quickly realize this isn't discipline. It's emergency abuse. The child has visible wounds. His ankles were bound with tape. He describes being tied with rope. Investigators later document the use of cayenne pepper and honey rubbed into open wounds, a so-called remedy that causes extreme pain and risk of infection. When authorities search the home, they find ropes, handcuffs, carabiners, not parenting tools, control tools. Then they open a basement area, a locked room, a vault-style door, a panic room. Except panic rooms are meant to protect you from danger outside. Here, the danger lived inside. Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt are arrested. Investigators recover journals, detailed notes describing punishment, starvation, isolation, and a belief that pain was necessary to remove evil. There were also plans to isolate the children even further, to move them away from anyone who might interfere. This wasn't a mistake, it was a direction. In court, both women plead guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. The sentence is long, potentially decades, structured in a way that keeps release far from guaranteed. Ruby speaks. She describes falling into paranoia, choosing guidance that detached her from reality. Jodi, meanwhile, continues to claim she was misunderstood, framed, wrongly accused. But the story doesn't end at sentencing. Behind the scenes, the system keeps moving. Parole hearings, originally expected earlier, are pushed back to December 2026. Before that, psychological evaluations are ordered. Mandatory therapy programs are required. Restitution hearings are scheduled. There's even a financial detail few people noticed. The home connected to the abuse is listed for sale. A judge orders that $100,000 from any sale be set aside for the children. As of early 2026, the property is unlisted, quietly removed. And here's the part we shouldn't ignore. This case isn't just about 2 women. It's about influence, about trust, about what happens when authority goes unquestioned and content replaces conscience. If millions of people can watch a family for years and still miss what was happening off camera, what does that say about what we reward online? Because the final verdict isn't just what the judge decides. The final verdict is what we choose to click.